And so I go and I bought this thing and I like cleaned it up and dusted it and made sure that the light worked. And it was like a 3-sectioned armoire that you could sit on your tabletop that had doors that opened on both
like
sides.
A contraption?
Yes. And so I had one 6-foot table, and this thing took up half the table, and it fit like maybe 15 slabs in it.
That's
and every time you
awesome.
reached in, you'd knock over all the slabs that you had set up. And I probably didn't even sell a single one out of there, but yeah, like that was kind of the beginning for me. Was that
That's
first
awesome.
tiny card show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the TCG Table podcast. My name is Alan Lee, and I am the host of the TCG Table podcast. And with me today is an amazing guest.
Hey guys, Jake with Jarchomp Collectibles here.
Yep. Need no introduction. You guys obviously know who he is, and I have been trying to coordinate this effort for a long time, and I really, really appreciate you. Despite the chaos that we go through today at CollectorCon, so we're setting up today. So really appreciate you coming out, doing this, brand new setting. We're trying it out. So again, appreciate that.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. We're here for CollectorCon, and that's pretty much the only way that we can get together on a regular basis is when we're, together in the same city for shows. Because, just traveling to another state, for a podcast can be tough.
Yeah.
But when you can kind of do things together, it can make sense.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Coordination is always like a thing, so I try to make sure like my guests, have a good time if they're coming on. So
Yeah, man.
yeah, man. I'm sure everyone would love to get to know you a little bit for the next hour or so. So let's get started, man. As usual, I always start with kind of how we get to know each other.
Sure.
Do you remember how we kind of met?
I think you came up to my table, like the first time ever was we did a deal in Pasadena Front Row Card Show 6-8 months ago, something like that. And you had a Poncho Rayquaza, and you're hoping to kind of trade down into some smaller, maybe more liquid items, and we worked out a deal on it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, okay, hidden story. You didn't know this, but the first time I met you was in Front Row San Diego, the show before Pasadena.
Okay, so that would just been like 1 or 2 weeks before that?
Yeah, that's
okay.
right. It was very, very brief. I was actually walking the show with my wife, Nurse Joy Bai, and that time I bought the stained glass bird, and I was like, hey, just for you, I picked it up. It was like a very brief thing because you were so busy with everybody.
Yeah, some of those California shows in the middle of the year were just like super, super busy for us because like I think the channel had grown to a significant size. We had a couple of like comparatively more viral videos.
Yeah.
And so, Pasadena and San Diego and a couple of those shows right in the middle of the year were just like, I mean, one of the Pasadena shows, we had a line to get into the building to join our line.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
So it was crazy. And it's not always like that, but, just all of the things kind of happened at the right time. The Pokemon market was at like a fever pitch as far as like liquidity. And so, yeah, there were a lot of people at the shows at that time.
Yeah. But okay. And the second part of that story, actually, so there's a story behind the Rayquaza, right? I don't know if you saw the episode, but I had a big fight with my wife the night before, right?
Whoa.
Yeah. So for those, a little recap, because I was actually, so it was the first time I owned Poncho, right? And
It's a lot of money to have in one
It's
card.
a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And it kind of like took a lot of my inventory in order to
As
get
far
the
as like a
card.
percentage of your
Yep.
inventory value. Yeah.
Yep, just the number of cards, right? So my showcase was looking a little empty.
Sure.
And then at that time, Kristen was just getting to know what a poncho is.
Right.
So she was like, I thought you said everybody wanted this thing. I'm like, yeah, everybody does, but not everybody's gonna pay that
Not
high.
everybody can afford it.
Right. And everybody's gonna say that it's not worth it, and they want you to offload it to them, right?
Sure.
So anyway, we have a pretty, big argument the night of, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so done with this card. So I was like, I just need inventory. And one of the biggest thing about Poncho I've learned was like the trading partner matters.
Yeah.
So that's why, when I came to your table, I was like, okay, I know Jarchomp is gonna have good quality of cards for me to kind of trade it out.
Yeah, and the price range that you're looking for.
Yeah, exactly. But I know you told me I cooked you on the on the 2 cards.
Well, I mean, you made a great play, but the thing is that I had gotten, you were talking about the Magmas, Groudon, and Aquasky were Japanese. It's a sequential set.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure it was a pretty modern cert. great cards, but I had gotten those the day before at a margin. Like I'd paid cash for them, so like it made sense for me, made sense for you, and that's just kind of how it goes.
It was amazing. I wish I kept the other set of cards too, because individually all the EV evolution just went up like double.
Yes. You got a couple of the Delta species cards you picked up, right?
Just one, just
the
the
Vaporeon.
Vaporeon
That's
one.
right.
Yeah,
That's
without
right.
the stamp. So
Yeah, what a great card.
I know.
I love that story though, Alan, because what people maybe don't always see in our content is that every decision that we make in our business is going to impact our family, and they're going to have an opinion
100%.
about it.
Yeah.
A story that's close to home for me on this is when I was in Chicago and I bought that Gold Star Rayquaza 8.5.
Yeah.
And that and some other cards, I paid out the patron at the show like over $24,000. Just, a huge deal. And all he really wanted was cash. So it was like, it wasn't like a trade. It was like, wow, this is a large amount of my current liquidity for one card.
Yep.
And in the video that we posted, my little brother, the Jarvatar, who's at the vending table with me now, he's like very skeptical of the deal.
Yeah.
He's like looking at the deal, just like, what are we doing? And because he's looking at it. We'd never owned a Gold Star Rayquaza. It's graded 8.5, and so like that's pretty niche.
Yep.
And
right.
might be harder to resell, and so in order to feel confident about a card like that, you might want like a big margin, and we didn't necessarily have a big margin, because who's going to accept less than 90% on a Gold Star Rayquaza, right?
And then if you do, how are you going to get that margin out, right? That's always the trouble, right?
Right, and so. There's every card you buy, every card you have, every show you go to or don't go to. It's a decision and a kind of a miniature experiment. And the people around you, they may not always think that you made the right decision.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We can all have an opinion, and we can all just try our best. And sometimes the decision I'm going to make is going to be right, and sometimes it's going to be maybe not quite right.
Yes.
And that's how
Plenty
it
of
goes.
those as well, right?
Lots of those.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. So I think we share a lot of similarity because we have like a family more oriented business versus I think other people are very like just business partner or solo, right?
Sure.
So I think decision making does impact our family a lot more than what other people realize. So I'm glad you touched on that, man. So yeah, I think in addition to that, I think I would love to just maybe dial back a little bit because I'm still getting to know you quite early when I haven't really interacted too much since, but we hung out a couple of times. I'm proud of that. Love to get to learn how you guys started in Pokemon. I know we talked just a little bit last time, but maybe for the viewer who just saw your content, never really got to know you, love to start from the beginning, man. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story. My first ever kind of encounter with Pokemon that I can remember was at like 5 years old. I had some neighbors who had some cards, and they had like a bunch of common and uncommon duplicates from like Jungle and Fossil, and somehow when my brother and I, older brother, who's not the one that you guys know, the Jarvatar, but my older brother Dylan. He and I somehow went over to the neighbor's house and came home with a bunch of cards.
Nice.
And my dad was like, "Where'd you get all these cards?" And we were like, "Oh, well, our neighbor, their neighbor friends had some extras, and he was like, go give those back immediately, because like you can't just like take people's cards, And he recognized, my dad did at that time, that we were interested in collecting, and so he got us into baseball cards, and so we bought a lot of baseball cards, and we were into that for 4 or 5 years. But that didn't really stick as far as our collecting passion. But Pokemon cards were pretty much a no-no in our house, like pretty much banned.
Really?
What we did have though were Game Boy games, and playing the Game Boy games, Red version was my first. Is a pivotal part of our journey in the hobby. First time, and I've told the story a couple times in other places, but my first time owning a Pokemon game, my brother, again, he had told me that he had a friend who was trying to sell his copy of Red version. And so I bought when I was in first or second grade, I brought $6 in cash to elementary school and paid Jared on the bus for his $6 red version game.
Amazing.
And my older brother lent me his Game Boy Pocket, and so I played red version on there, and then obviously tons of games afterwards that just kind of lit the fire. And then I think, and I've talked about this, but I think the reason that it really stuck for me is that it was my first role-playing game.
Yeah. Okay.
And, in Pokemon, the reason that we can all kind of rally around this franchise is because there's so much self-expression within the hobby. In the game, you choose the Pokemon that you want to use, and you get to choose your team, and you get to choose the items, and you get to choose the strategies that you employ, and there's so much identity that you put into your game of yourself. And so everyone has their own unique experience with the hobby, and so that's kind of what my story was. But as far as cards, I was not involved until, I had like a handful of cards here and there that I would have, and then my dad would find them, and then they'd get thrown out or whatever. When I was 13 or 14, we were able to buy some packs from the store for the first time, and we opened up like Holland Phantoms and Crystal Guardians and Power Keepers and stuff like that. Just a little bit, like right at the beginning of Diamond and Pearl. A Gen 4 was when we got to open some packs. But again, that was very brief. I like put them in a binder and then kind of forgot about them as I got into high school and moved on to sports and all those kinds of things that happen in high school. But I always had my Game Boy, always had my leaf green version, diamond version, and red that I would play from time to time.
Yeah, so you kept up with the game, yeah?
Yeah, I've missed a couple of the generations. I didn't play through all of, Gen 5, 6, or 7, but I've returned, since then and played in some of those. But as far as, like, getting into the card hobby in a serious way like I am now, it was in 2019 that I kind of rediscovered that Pokemon cards were still a thing.
Yeah.
And I actually recently went back and looked at my YouTube watch history from like years ago. And I was watching Leonhardt open up sets like Hidden Fates and Unified Minds and Unbroken Bonds and stuff like that in 2019. And and that kind of like reignited like this interest in the cards. And then there was a video he put out of opening up XY Evolutions, and that was like, whoa.
Yeah,
because it's a reprint set, all those nostalgic artworks, and that got me pretty much hooked on the idea of like, wow, maybe I should buy some of these. And I looked up what a box would cost, and back then you could get XY Evolutions for like $90 a box on eBay, and so I bought that and opened it, and like, I pulled a Charizard holo and was like, whoa,
wow, this is so cool.
Yeah, and so from there it was like, okay, go to Target every now and again and try to find some stuff and open it. And like most people, the next 18 months of my involvement in the hobby was mostly just buy boxes and rip.
Yes.
And yeah, that's kind of how it continued until, well, then we kind of talked about this off the camera, but I got involved into mixed martial arts in 2022. I started training a little bit.
Nice.
And so between then and 2023, I was really focused on that, and I kind of wasn't involved in the cards, and it kind of didn't collect very much. Not like intentionally, but just like my focus, my interest was elsewhere.
You had to.
I didn't like hang it up. I was just like, I was just drawn to MMA, and then and the card just kind of sat in binders or whatever. And then after I participated in an MMA fight in 2023, and after I did that, I was kind of like done competing.
Yeah.
I won the fight, and like the fight camp went really well, but I kind of came to this realization that if I was going to spend so much time outside of work on something, I probably needed it to make some money.
Yeah.
And so like MMA, I needed it to become more of a hobby and less of like a pursuit like it had been for the last year and a half.
I know exactly how that feels. Like you don't want to do your hobby as a job, right? In some sense, I know it's ironic I said that,
I didn't have any like aspirations to take it to a professional level.
Exactly.
And so it was like, well, that's kind of, to continue on the path that I was, that's where it would have gone, and I didn't really desire that. I did the fight and all that kind of stuff because you know, the camaraderie in the gym, and I was getting in good physical shape, and they were like, dude, you should try to compete. And so like they inflate your ego, and it's like, oh yeah, you should do it. And it totally worked on me. And so it went well, luckily. I don't have any regrets. But once I finished the fight, you know, but within a couple of weeks, I had all this extra time because I wasn't training 22 hours a week. And so I got back into the cards kind of naturally. And at the same time, I discovered some creators on YouTube who were big into reselling, but specifically reselling video games. And so one of my like big inspirations at the very beginning was this channel that many of you might know called Chase After the Right Price, which is he's a reseller out of the Midwest who does almost exclusively video games. And like they do like big garage sale kind of, you know, buy for cheap and flip and that kind of stuff kind of content. And then there was a video that they had where they went to like a big expo where people had, you know, vendor booths and video games at the booths. And it like blew my mind. I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to go to an event like that. So I went on the internet and was like, okay, where do I find a video game convention? And I found one in my local area in Utah, in Layton. There's a Layton Retro Games Convention in like the late summer every year. And so I signed up and bought tickets to go. And while I was kind of, you know, that was maybe 3 months in advance of the show, I had bought tickets. And while I was getting ready to watch the show or go to the show, I continued to watch more content about conventions. And so that's where I found Trading Card Empire and the Bulbasaur and people like that who were making vendor POV content at Pokemon card cons, because I like Pokemon cards and I liked cons, but I didn't know that they
combined.
I didn't know that they combined. And so once I discovered those, I was like, whoa.
Hold up, let me go home. I got a closet. Let me look that up.
Exactly. I've got cards. I've got cards I don't necessarily need that I'd be interested in selling. And so before I even went to the Retro Game Con, there was a tiny, tiny local card show that popped up that I heard about on Facebook Marketplace. 20 tables, like in a tiny, like extra retail space at a mall where I live, and I decided, I was like, you know, I'm gonna vend. And so I just sent the organizer, a text and said, hey, do you guys have any extra tables left? And he's like, actually, we do. The show was like the next day.
Wow.
And so no, it was like 2 days later. And so that was the Thursday that I hit him up. The Friday before the show, the day before the show, I like drive all the way to Salt Lake City, like an hour from my place, to pick up this like old China armoire, like that a grandma was selling on Facebook Marketplace for $20. Because I was like, I need a way to display my slabs at the show, but so that they'll be safe. Because I had never heard of like a display case, you know. And this was before I had ever heard of like Zion cases or you know, any of the things on Amazon or eBay that you can buy. And so I go and I bought this thing and I like cleaned it up and dusted it and made sure that the light worked. And it was like a 3-sectioned armoire that you could sit on your tabletop that had doors that opened on both
like
sides.
A contraption?
Yes. And so I had one 6-foot table, and this thing took up half the table, and it fit like maybe 15 slabs in it.
That's
and every time you
awesome.
reached in, you'd knock over all the slabs that you had set up. And I probably didn't even sell a single one out of there, but yeah, like that was kind of the beginning for me, was that first
awesome.
tiny card show.
Nice. That's so cool. My first card show was just like, my wife was like, oh, you want to do this thing? And at that time, I was, again, buying a lot of seal. I had a Japanese distributor. I talked about it on Card Lounge, right? I was more into the e-commerce side of things, and that's kind of how I got in. And so my first card show, I was like, well, I have these Japanese product. I can also sell in person. I kind of want to meet people. So I did that. And then that was like my first time. I didn't know anybody. Went straight in. So a lot of times when people ask me like, oh, how do you get started? I'm like, guys, just go right in. You know, you don't need to curate inventory for 6 months before you get started, because the market moves so fast. Whatever you curate 6 months ago, prices already changed, you know?
Honestly, and in my opinion, the only way that you're going to have longevity in this business is if you like it.
Yeah.
And the only way that you're going to like it is if you deal in items that you like. And so if you're like, oh, I need to curate some massive inventory and I need to know what all the hot cards are, it's like, no, like, what do you like?
Exactly.
And go to the show with things that you like. And then when people come to the table and they see an item, they're like, oh, I like your Lugia card. Then you have a story about it. Like, oh, I love this Lugia card too. I pulled this card a year ago and then I got it graded. It's been sitting in my personal collection for a while and it's so great, you know, and like that. It may come across as like salesmanship, but it's actually just passion.
It's genuine passion, yeah.
Right. And believe it or not, that's what sells people is you tell them the actual story and they generate a connection with you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why, you know, I always say just collect what you like, right? Kind of to your motto, right? Collect what you like, because at the end of the day, that's what makes you guys unique.
Yeah.
I don't want to go to a show where I have the same product as everyone else.
No.
I want to be different. I want to be niche. Like,
You want to be yourself, you know, different than everybody else. In my opinion, it's like, okay, whatever, but like you want to be yourself. You want to be authentically you, because then you can operate always in a way that's just unapologetic. It's like, why do you have this card? Well, because I like it.
Freaking love it.
Or why do you have this card? Well, because I've had it 5 or 6 times and it's sold well every time and it draws attention and so I have a good connection with it. You know, it's like, just be yourself.
Nice. Yeah, cool. See, you guys pick up some stuff here, tips and tricks, man. Be yourself for real, because that's how you guys gonna end up with longevity in this hobby, right? Because if you just buying stuff because it's going up parabolically or whatever, those plays are not gonna last. Obviously, you're gonna have situation like that, and you want to strategize. But at the end of the day, I always say, if this hobby tomorrow everything goes back to $1, at least you have an inventory that you're like, I love this thing, and I will keep it.
If you have a passion for being the kind of person who, you know, feels like they can anticipate the next trend and like you really love to do that, then like maybe that's the move for you. Like that's what gets you energized, and it's really exciting for you. I know that we might talk later on about One Piece and what it's doing right now as far as sealed product and graded cards and all this kind of stuff. And there's a percentage of the people out there who are buying and selling One Piece who were already into it before there was like tons of eyeballs or value changes on it. And there's a percentage of people who maybe didn't really care for it, but like thought it had a good opportunity to grow in popularity and value. And like, shout out to both of those kinds of people. But there's also a lot of people out there who like see the numbers and they react and they're like, oh, I have to get involved so I can get a piece of it. And I think that is the wrong approach, because number one, it's not organic. Number two, it's just kind of about chasing the money. And when you chase money, not necessarily that it's bad, but that it's just, there's no way that it lasts. There's no way that your passion and your care for it, there's no way that you can last in that kind of pursuit. Because like I've said many, many times, there's so many ways to make money. Like, you should spend your life on the one that you actually care about and not just the one that you think, oh, I have a chance to make a quick buck. Like, there's trillions and trillions of dollars transacting every year in the world. And, like, you can participate in it in a way that you like and you feel good in.
Yeah, no, I think it's an amazing advice, right? Because this is actually something I've been thinking through on and off recently, because, you know, again, we can talk more a little bit later in this segment here, but just to touch on that topic a little bit, right? Like, Pokemon obviously is kind of going through ups and downs right now, finally, in this crazy bull market. And then, of course, as soon as it goes down a little bit, something else takes its place, right? And it got me thinking, even a few weeks back, I talked about it, right? I'm just like, mentally and psychologically, I think about like, do I really like this card as much as I did before? It really makes you question like what should be in your inventory as a vendor and as a collector. Because, you know, the crazy thing is, right, I actually read all the comments on the internet, right? People are like, oh, you're a vendor. No, I'm a vendor and I'm a collector, and I'm both. And I don't think a lot of people understand the duality of it. And they think you're either in it to sell it or you're in it to just collect, and you can't do both. It's very black and white. And I find myself now questioning that, right? Because it's like, well, I know I collect, but sometimes for the right price, or if I see somebody who really likes that card the same way I do, I will relinquish that because I had it for a period of time and I had my time with it and I feel good about giving it up.
Yeah.
So that's something I've been like kind of thinking through. I'm like, that's kind of weird.
I love that perspective. And what you're kind of getting at is that part of being in this hobby in general is developing the ability to sell something.
Yeah.
And to sell it to the right person at the right time for the right price. And if you do that through eBay, cool. If you do it through vending at shows, that's cool. If you do it through claim sales on Facebook, that's cool. But you've developed maybe some sort of sales channel that you can rely on to sell things that you don't necessarily feel like you want or need anymore at that time. And if you are in this hobby and you believe that selling things just makes you some sort of scummy profiteer, you are ignorant, because you will not always be able to own all of the things that you have right now. Whether you keep every single thing you ever pull from a pack or grade from, or grade at a grading company, like maybe you do. Maybe you're the one person on earth who never ever parts from one item during their lifetime. But guess what? You're going to die, and then all those items are going to go to your kids or your posterity or whatever. So like we all own these things temporarily.
Yep.
And if you are not developing a sales channel, what you are doing is just constantly pouring your hard-earned dollars from other places into the hobby. And for most of us, that's unsustainable. And so you need to create a sales channel, and you shouldn't feel bad about that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I always tell people this, right? When a lot of people, again, who have not seen our lifestyle, if you will, or the career path or the choice of being a vendor, they always say, oh, you're a scalper, you're this, you're that, all these things, right? But my counter argument to everybody, and I said this and I'll defend it to the death, right? If any collector ever ripped open a pack, or they bought a pack and ripped it open for $10, and there's like 10, 12 cards in there, technically that's like 10 to 12 cents a card. If you ever hit a Moonbryon or any Chase card and you went to a local card shop, you're like, hey, I want to sell this for whatever market is, you're a scalper. By definition, by your own definition.
You're
right?
a secondary market profiteer, just like the rest of us.
Just like the rest of us, right? So before you guys cast your first stone, make sure you didn't do that. I think a lot of people, what I've learned with more exposure now with me being on a couple of the podcasts, right? A lot of people are like, oh, he didn't collect the way I do, then he's wrong. I'm like, guys, you got to understand this hobby is about letting other people in.
Yes.
That's how, like when I came into the hobby, a lot of vendors welcomed me in with open arms. Good. And I really enjoy that.
Good.
So I really want to continue to pay that forward, right?
Yeah. Pokemon's incredibly inclusive, not just the hobby, but like the design of the game, the design of the card game, the marketing strategy of the company, the Pokemon International company. Like it's all very, very inclusive. We got people of every race and ethnicity and language collecting today. They're represented in the games. Like it's very inclusive, and so like you should feel comfortable collecting in a way that you like, and you should allow other people to do the same.
Yeah, I cannot wait for ones, right, to be a little bit more veteran, and then being able to like include other people, because I love this hobby, right? So, and it's crazy because it took me so many years to learn to love it. I talked about it. I'm not gonna regurgitate, but I got into it because my daughter got into it, right? So now I'm finding joy. I'm kind of living my dream to her, in a way. So it's really awesome. But yeah. So switching topic, now you became a vendor, and at what point do you like, okay, I'm going to do more POV? And for those who are kind of watching and maybe wanting to start doing vendorship, and specifically myself too, because I grew a lot of these other channels, and you know how busy I am. Yeah. I want to do more vendor POV. Is that the way to go? What's your philosophy in it? And how do you get your brand out there?
Those are big questions.
Yes, many questions too. But
so to start, the question was like, how did I get my start in making vendor POV content? So I consumed a lot of it, mostly from Bulbasaur and Pack Battle, and there's another couple guys. Like I said, Trading Card Empire was doing it. There was a guy named Danimals. Entropy DR was making some POV content with his wife in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of people who were doing it before I was. And when I got into vending, I was just doing like a local show here and there, less than once a month, maybe once a month. And then I started to take it more seriously in like early summer of last year, 2024. And that was the first time that I signed up for an out-of-state show. So I live in Utah, and I signed up for the Pasadena Front Row Card Show that's in SoCal.
That's right.
And it happened, I think, like end of May last year was that first one that I did out of state. And it went well. And I remember, like, after the show, because my wife and I went there together and did the show together. After the show, I remember kind of hinting at the idea, like, hey,
We do this.
yeah, maybe you should make some videos for us, because my wife, she has a background in making YouTube videos. She had
Nice.
taken like a YouTube kind of creation course from Ali Abdal, and so she got some practice there, and then made a couple of videos on her own that were in her niche, which is like health and wellness. That's what her degree is in, is health coaching. And so she was familiar with some of the tools and with, cameras and a little bit more than I was. Well, definitely more than I was. And so we first decided to record and, edit footage from the Front Row Las Vegas show that we did basically the next month. So July of last year, I think it was like July 10th or something like that, that we went to that Front Row Vegas show. And it just so happened that we had 2 weeks before that, I had bought a base set unlimited booster box.
Oh, big boys.
Yeah, a big one. And so I brought that box to the show because I was like, well, I'm starting to take vending pretty seriously.
Yeah.
And, I've spent $11,000, $12,000 or whatever on this box. And that's kind of a lot of money, especially back then. Like, that was probably, I don't know, 40 or 50% of my total vending, business.
Capital,
yeah,
everything. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's a lot of
Understood.
a lot to have in one item. And I brought it to the show with like, maybe if I get the right offer, maybe I'll sell it. But like, it was a crispy box, and I do regret selling it. But like, the version of me then doesn't regret selling it. Like, I would love to have it now, but
Right. In order for you to get to this point, you had to make that sacrifice, right? And
exactly. And that's just how it goes. But anyways, so we recorded the deal of somebody came to the booth. It was a streamer, a TikTok streamer, and he came to the booth and he bought that box from me. And it was an interesting deal because his channel is a faceless channel, and he wanted to remain anonymous.
Okay.
And so the video that we posted was just like a 13-minute video of the cut-up segments of our interaction with this guy, and we blurred out his face the whole time. And so at his request.
Yeah.
And so like that created a lot of intrigue, obviously.
Yeah.
And, we put the title something like, selling a base set box to an anonymous buyer or something like that.
Interesting.
And that video took off. I didn't, that was our first video on the channel. Didn't really have anything before that. And that video within a short period of time got to like 10,000 views. And we were like, whoa. Like,
we on to something.
yeah, we're onto something. And so that was that, I think 5 or 6 days after I got home from the show, we posted that video. And Franny, my wife, posted at least one long-form video every week for the next 52 weeks in a row.
Oh, I admire her already so much.
Yes.
Shout out to the wifey for hard working.
Shout out Franny. Hard work, extreme consistency, and the thing that you don't necessarily, you can't calculate in that period of time is her skill refinement.
Yeah.
In that period of time, learning the ways to keep attention and to speak to the audience and to bring her and my identity to the video.
Awesome.
It's a talent that she has, and I'm very appreciative to her for that, because like there's no world in which I would be where I am now, where we would be, our entire family business, without her work and her skills. The second part to your question was about should other people get into it?
Yeah.
And how do you kind of grow your brand? The answer is you should make vendor POV content if you want to, and if it sounds fun to you, because I can guarantee that like 2 or 3 or 4 videos into it, there's going to be periods of time where you just don't want to edit your footage anymore.
I know.
And in order to push past those barriers and the work and the expense and the time, you have to like it.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the same thing with any entrepreneurial pursuit. Like, there will be times where what you thought was going to be roses and rainbows feels a lot like work.
Yes.
And if you don't actually like it, those things will derail you. And it's that lack of consistency that will spell, you know, the demise of your business, or at least slow you down quite a bit. Because the way that the world functions these days, it's about grabbing attention.
I know.
And if you don't grab attention consistently, like, people move on. And that's just kind of what it is with social media.
Yeah, it's true. Like, it's really funny because my wife, Kristen, she is a lot more involved in her kind of Instagram channel now,
Yeah.
right? She's always doing content, and she's like tagging me. I was like, thank you. You know, I'm just accepting it. And I think she recently did like an 8-second video, and that one really like went well.
Cool.
And she's like, hey, look, I think that's a trick to 8 seconds. I'm like, yeah, the shorter the better, right? People love it. But people have no idea the amount of time to generate like a less than 30-second video.
Yeah.
It is extremely hard, right? But yeah, I myself want to do more POV because obviously we already have cameras set up. We filmed it already. It's about taking the footage, editing it in between, and right now I'm trying to just focus on the podcast, and it's a lot. Like, for me, it's like time. It's not even necessarily the wish and want to do it.
Well, here's the thing, Alan, is like, you, as much as you've proven otherwise, you can only be in one place at one time. You are a very talented multitasker and like, you know, brain segmenter, you know, like it's very impressive. And I would just say you should continue to work on the things that you're really passionate about. And because that's the only way you're going to keep the pace that you have now.
Yeah, it is actually like crazy. As we kind of end the year, I kind of like look back at 2025. I'm like, man, I can't believe in January I got into this. And in like 11 months, we're not even talking about full 12 months yet, right? Like in 11 months, I feel like, you know, my brand, my identity grew a lot.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because I remember distinctively the first time, second show ever I did was at Collector Expos, and I saw Jake, Twice Big Jake for the first time, and I'm like, wow, big YouTuber, you know, love to get to where they're at one day. Fast forward 11 months, I went on their podcast, became friends with them, became friends with you. Again, just goes back to like how open-armed everybody was in the community, and I love it. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna try to pay it forward and trying to do more content. Promise I'll do more POV soon. You know, but yeah. So great. And then next thing I want to talk about is, I know in addition to, you also a multitasker. I already know that. You do vending, right? You have your POV, obviously the fam help, the wife helps, but you guys also do streaming. Talk to me a little bit about why streaming, what's your passion on streaming, and you know, what's your philosophy on it?
Streaming, for me, kind of originated as something I was really resistant to. I was really resistant to it not being something that like felt authentic to me, because I knew from practice and experience that selling in person at the shows, it came natural and I really enjoyed it.
You make that connection,
Yeah,
right?
I love the in-person interaction. And I also, probably my favorite thing about card shows is buying Pokemon cards. I love to buy Pokemon cards. And when you're streaming, you don't. All you do is sell. And I was also, and still am, resistant to the stigma that's out there for live selling. That live selling, at least in the United States, has a stigma, whether it's on big platforms or not, of just kind of like scummy salesmanship and unmet promises and overpriced items and scams and things like that.
Exactly.
And I didn't want to be affiliated with that. You know, one of the things that I really appreciate about our content, and again, thanks to Fran, my wife, on this, is, you know, we're able to portray a really positive message about ourselves and about our interactions and about the people in the hobby and all of our intentions and our integrity and our honesty and that kind of stuff. But when you're, you know, when you're looking at the average kind of live stream right now, you maybe don't get that impression.
For sure.
You get the impression of, like we talked about before, like some profiteering, and obviously we hear about scams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if I wanted to be affiliated with that. Okay. And what ended up happening was, you know, we got approached by all sorts of different streaming platforms, and eventually we, you know, our channel had grown to the size where like these streaming platforms were making us like offers that would be significant for our business.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, well, let's take another look at this and see if we give it a try, can we choose a partner that we feel good about, and can we choose a platform that is going to work for our business, and just give it a try.
Yeah, elevate your brand, your identity, right? As opposed to kind of being coupled with like, oh, this is a salesmanship kind of thing, right?
Exactly.
That,
and
right?
so at the beginning, it wasn't like, you know, this thought or urgency of, oh man, I need another sales channel, or I know that these guys on these streaming platforms are making so much money and I need to get a part of that. Like that wasn't part of it. So we did our first stream, and there was a lot of like giveaways and all that kind of stuff. And the reception from the audience was extremely positive. Okay. Extremely positive. And it was kind of funny. Like our first stream, we gave away like 6 ETBs of black and white, or black bolt / white flare.
Yeah.
And we also had some other like sealed items and stuff like that we were, you know, we kind of listed in our shop that people could buy. And within like 45 minutes, I had like, you know, 100 orders or something like that, which meant that like I was live on my first live stream ripping packs for people for 7 straight hours.
That's crazy.
And I had I honestly was planning, I'll just for like a couple hours, give it a try.
It's always a thing. I know. I know how that felt.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it was like, oh my gosh. And like, you know, it wasn't like, you know, a life-changing amount of money, but it felt like a lot of work, you know, to sit at the chair the whole time and like rip packs and like keep everything organized.
The whole
and like
floor is all
the floor is covered in
yeah.
trash, but then like keep it separated from all the orders and the baggies and the top loaders and the sleeves and the markers and the packs. And it was like, you know, the first couple times it was like such an ordeal.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the next day you're like, okay, now I get to pack and ship 100.
I was just gonna say
orders.
that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you never done the logistics before.
I
I
didn't have a label printer. Like I didn't know what I was doing. And so
been there, done that too.
Yeah. Yes. And so I also, one person to shout out here is Eric Pack Battle. Now he has been streaming on YouTube and doing rip and ships from time to time for a while now. And so before I did my first stream, I hit him up and said, okay, man, like I'm a total novice. What equipment, you know, what items should I need? And he dropped like 10 links to Amazon for all the things that I needed, and it saved me so much time. Eric, I should buy him dinner. I forgot to.
We owe you dinner.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, again. So the stream went well.
Nice.
And now since then, you know, our streams are not anywhere near as busy as that first time. You know, I think there's like some novelty to like, oh, this YouTuber is doing his first stream. So there's a lot of people in that first one. Yeah. But since then, we streamed pretty much every week, at least once. And we now do some like live pack openings, but we also sell a lot of singles.
Yep.
And a lot of like big claim sales. And so like what we'll do is we'll be like, hey, before we go to LA Collecticon, everyone on stream gets first dibs at our entire inventory of singles before we go. So if you want something that we have, like this is your chance, because there's a good chance it'll sell at Collecticon or wherever we go. And so, we've had a really good time, like building a community of people who are looking to like collect. They're looking to finish master sets. They're looking to build out like Pokédex binders. They're looking to finish sets of specific Pokemon. You know, like I want all the Snorlaxes or whatever. And it has been really positive and, you know, a good experience for me personally. And it's turned into something that I enjoy doing and interacting with the people, and they've really treated us well. The part that I didn't anticipate that has now become kind of like a truth for me is that streaming, you know, selling live like that has become a vital part of our business and gives us a lot more market proofness, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, right now, if your only sales channel is at card shows,
Right.
for the last month, you've probably struggled because there's been a lot more people trying to sell to you than to buy from you.
Yep.
And that's just kind of how the market has been. And if you are a vendor of limited capital means, before long, you're going to struggle if you spend more money than you sell for weeks and weeks in a row.
That's right.
And the stream has allowed us to have an additional sales channel to, you know, sell a bunch of cards in the middle of the week that gives us the liquidity that we need to then go and continue to buy at these shows and to keep that wheel spinning of buy, sell, and trade. And I would say that for anyone that's looking to get into this business long term, streaming is something that you might want to look at as a sales channel to build out so that you can weather the, you know, the change, the volatility in the market, whether it's in the value of items or the liquidity of items.
Oh man, that's another thing I need to tackle on now. No, I
don't know about that.
Yeah, no, it
Depends on what your goal is, right? Like
Sure.
my goal is to have this be a full-time business for me and multiple family members.
correct.
That might not be your goal. Like I pay the bills with this, and that might not be the case for you or others, right? And so it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Yeah, no, interesting fact, when I first started, I did try streaming, right? So I did it, I think about, funny story here coming soon, I did about 3 or 4 show. My first show, I probably made the biggest mistake of my life. So you talk about giveaway, right? I was doing kind of like the wheel on whatnot, and my biggest prize was the classic TCG. Oh my god, that box, the big black
Had to
box.
ship it out.
Oh, it was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I did not know.
That's probably like a $50
Oh, it was bad.
item to ship.
Yeah, it was bad. And then I didn't have the right box, so I was cutting up this box, sewing, like it was Frankensteining this box. I don't know, it's such a shit, but that was awful.
That's terrible.
And then I think my second prize was the Sea and Sky box, which is equally bad.
Also huge.
Oh my god, I've learned that lesson so hard.
Yeah, giveaways, they should be this big.
Yeah. But I mean, for mine, it was like somebody won it, but still, I should have thought that through better. And again, this is me jumping straight in. Had to figure it out. Had to fulfill the order correctly, right? So it worked out. But I think for me, it's like I find myself, just like you said, I haven't developed the talent or kind of like the cadence to just talk to myself on camera for hours without some sort of response.
Yeah. Well, like the chat helps. So a lot of these platforms have like a live chat feed.
Yeah.
And you have to interact with them.
Yes.
You can't just like be on camera just like talking about Pokemon and ignoring the chat. Like the whole point is that like you can strike up conversations with people, and like it's kind of like Twitch in that way. Like Twitch streamers, like they'll play video games, or a lot of times they'll just be live and talk to the chat. And they'll, you know, like you'll say, "Hey, chat, like what's the favorite card you've pulled in the last few weeks or whatever?" Or You know, what's your favorite new mega Pokemon that they've just released? You know, and you can just strike up conversation, and before long, your chat will create, you know, memes of your stream, things that you said that are funny, or they'll clown on you because, you know, we all make mistakes when we're live. You know, I've like said somebody's name wrong or said something incredibly like self-aggrandizing, and so like, you know, I get trolled and clowned.
Incriminated.
Yeah, exactly. So like for example, on our last stream, we were doing a claim sale, and I can be a tough negotiator, you know, and I want to stick to my sticker price, and I feel like I know what a card is worth, and so there are sometimes people like, hey, I saw you have this card for this price. Would you do this price? You know, and I might say no, or, you know, no, but I'll do this other price somewhere in the middle or whatever. And someone referred to me in my chat as Jarchomps.
Yo, nice.
Yeah, so I've gotten Evil Coop and Business
Evil
Coop and Jarchomps, and so yeah.
Well, I would say you're more of a intimidated negotiator.
Maybe.
In my mind, when I do deal with you, I'm always like, oh man, it's Jarchomp. He has to be right on his comp. I'm like, I mean, he knows better than I do. He's right.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We're all just trying to find a fair price.
No, for sure. I appreciate that. No, I definitely want to give like streaming another try.
Yeah.
Again, it's a matter of time. Only so much time.
Again, Alan, yeah, like you have so many things going on. Like what you need to solve for is what is the life that you want.
Yeah.
And then spend your time on the things that will give you that life.
Yeah.
You know, like there's a million things that you could do in the hobby that could be successful or could be productive, but like, do they get you to where you want to be? And that's the question you're gonna ask.
Yeah. I think when I reflect on that, right, I think for me, big part of it is obviously the family, right?
Yeah.
My daughter got me into it. I don't want to overtake that hobby and make it mine, and now I'm abandoning her. So it was very important.
We can do that as men sometimes, you know. We can get lost in the plot.
Yeah, because I mean, we truly enjoy, right? And I talked about this before. I was buying Yu-Gi-Oh! The guard cards way back in the days, and because that was what's drawing me. But then after that, I was like, man, this is expensive. Somebody coming out from college, you know? So I kind of abandoned that a little bit, and then now she got me back into it. And then I'm like, man, I don't want to just do this without spending time with her, because the whole point was to spend time with her. So
yeah, if you're solving for creating a connection and having a unique relationship with your daughter, then that's what you should spend your time on.
Yeah.
Like, but who knows? Maybe you find out that your daughter is like a streaming virtuoso, and so you guys do that together. Like, you never know.
You know, she now she's like a little artist. You know, we actually had to create an Instagram page because too many people were asking for it. We try to stay her obviously off social media. Smart. She didn't even have a phone. She grew up without technology, which is great because now she can actually conversate with people. Cool. But yeah, she's been drawing Pokemon cards lately. It's like we call it 1-to-1 because she make it custom, and people would actually hit us up and be like, "Oh, can you do a commission? I want this Pokemon plus this Pokemon." So she's enjoying it, and she's like making a little bit of money on it.
Yeah, you know, start like a little Etsy store or something. Like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so she enjoy it. So we take her to the show sometime, and then she'll draw live there, and people like come through. It's pretty cool.
I love it. Yeah, like a little caricature artist at the show. That'd be
we're gonna have to draw you one.
Sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, so let's get to some different topic about Pokemon because that's what people here, you know, they're interested in it. Love to get your take. I know you are famous for having your little quote, which is collect what you like, sell the rest, right?
Sell the rest, yeah.
Love to pick your brain a little bit. Right now, crazy, volatile times. Some people say Pokemon is dead, right? It's never going to die. It definitely is correcting itself, and as it should be. We all anticipated that. Love to get your take on the whole philosophy, right? From your perspective. It's a little bit more open-ended question, right? Pokemon for you, what does it mean? And specifically, how do you prepare for this maybe potentially change of times, right?
What does Pokemon mean to me?
Yeah. Important question. I feel like that's a very big one for you.
Yeah. I mean, the hobby of the Pokemon trading card game as something that you collect, it has, you know, been life changing for us, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that it's necessarily because like, oh, the cards are so amazing that they've changed our life, but like the fact that there's a community of people who like to collect them and consume content around it and are excited about the next release or excited about their next collection goal, and we have those kind of interests in common. That fact has changed our life.
Yeah.
And the fact that you can build a business around it, obviously, and a business that is both full of integrity but also successful. Both of those things for me are important because, like I said before, you can make your money all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
But I think you should find a way that you feel good about and that you enjoy. And the fact that I've found that here in this hobby has been life-changing, and it's very exciting. But it's also because of that, and because it's comparatively unproven to other ways in this world to make money, such as having a corporate job like I have had before and you have now.
Yeah.
That way to make money and provide for a family is very proven, but this way is comparatively less proven. Less people are doing it, less people have done it. It makes me feel like I've taken a lot of risk in, leaving my career in order to pursue this. And so for the same reason that I really enjoy it, I feel like I really need to protect it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm also not as young as I once was. I'm in a stage of life where I've been married for almost 10 years, and we're starting to think about, having a family and, where do we want to buy a house and settle down and plant our flag and that kind of stuff. And so it's not like I'm a single 20-something who can just, try this and try that and kind of find out what they like in life. Like, time is ticking.
Yeah.
I still have a lot of time to work and to, earn money in my life, but I'm not as young as I once was. Like some of these guys at the show who are, in their teens or early 20s and just like absolutely killing it with their inventory and they're grinding and they're traveling every week. Like, I love it. I'm very impressed by it. And I'm in a slightly different position than them.
Sure.
And so I have to be thoughtful about that. And I also have to think about, okay, well, now that we have experienced some portion of success, what do I want to do with that success? Like, what's the ideal outcome for me if we can make, a living and then some on top of, our needs and what we want to put away for the future? Like, what would I want to do with that excess income or growth and value and our net worth and our investments and that kind of stuff?
Sure.
And the answer for me is I want to share it with my family. And the way that I feel like I can do that in a way that makes sense is to build a business where I could offer them a job to come and work with us and to build it together and gain skills and to have a non-ordinary way of making a living, but doing so with your family in an industry that is a little bit more whimsical and fun.
Yeah, and you get to just collect what you like while doing
At the same time as you get to kind of build a business, you get to have a cool binder full of cards that you like, And so I'm really enjoying the idea of pursuing a business that is successful enough to support multiple of my siblings along with myself, and then kids that we might have in the future. And because I'm thinking on that grand of a scope, I can't just be good at buying Pokemon cards. I also have to learn how to be good at business. Yeah. I have to know how to protect our assets. I have to know how to invest for the future. I have to know how to navigate market changes. I have to learn about taxes and compliance, and I have to refine our processes and know how to travel on logistics, and I have to know about customer service, and I have to know about marketing and sales and social media strategy and a lot of stuff, right? So it's a lot of things to think about and to try to be good at or good enough at. And that kind of comes to your question about what does that background mean for my approach to a market that we have right now, which is in a correction. And I'm going to answer in two ways. One that's very specific and one that's more general. The specific way is what I have done is I have pivoted a lot of our inventory to be less speculative and more collector focused, because I think that an ever present fact in our hobby is that there are people who want to collect cool cards.
Yeah.
And are not necessarily thinking about, okay, I really hope that I buy this card today and it goes up in value and I can flip it in 6 months from now and make a profit, kind of like a cryptocurrency play. That has existed, and there's still some opportunities for that in our hobby, but it won't always be there. What will always be here in our hobby is people who want to fill out cool binders and do master sets and collect the Pokemon cards that they like. And those are the people, that's the marketplace that I want to be involved with.
Nice.
And so most of our business is around singles and, finding those cards for people and, buying collections of singles from people who are maybe moving on or moving out from the hobby and helping those singles find a new home with somebody else. And we still do slabs. I like to have some graded cards. I collect some graded cards, but it's not my sole focus right now, because I want to tap into and be present in a marketplace that's a bit more consistent.
Yeah.
So that's the short answer to your question. The long answer is Pokemon cards are an enormous marketplace, worth billions and billions of dollars, and with billions of dollars of them transacting every year. And in that environment, they are comparable to a market. They are comparable to a market like stocks.
Yep. Very, very similar.
And the stock market is, in the near term, the 3 to 6 month term, the movements are almost all predicated on sentiment. They're all predicated on how people feel, or about, what people think some macroeconomic factor is going to do to the economy in the future. They're speculative. That's guessing. It's how I feel. And that's going to change the market value of an individual stock in a short period of time. But over the long period of time, stocks and their value are based on fundamentals. And they're based on if businesses can turn a profit, and if they're operating well, and if they have a good product, and if their marketing strategy is tuned in.
Consistency.
And leadership approach, and those fundamentals, right? Yeah. Financials. And in that way, what has happened in Pokemon cards over the last few months is not surprising to anyone who has any experience with a market like stocks.
Yeah.
If you have experience with a market like stocks, then you know that when things go up aggressively in a short period of time, it will almost inevitably mean that there will be some correction, and that the line is never straight and up to the right.
Parabolic.
It's always with ups and downs. But if you believe in the fundamentals of the products and of the underlying items, you believe that over time that they'll continue to be up and to the right. But in the short term, there's lots of little zigs and zags, up and down, peaks and valleys. And if you have a business approach to interact with a marketplace that is moving like this every few months or every 6 months or every year, and your only way to make money is when things are increasing in value, you will not survive long.
Yeah.
You need to create a business that can thrive and has sustainable impact in whatever kind of market environment. Does that mean that I've been really excited about repricing all of my cards downwards for the last few months? No, I don't love that. It's way more fun when you look at your card and you're like, oh, this is worth way more than I thought it would be, when I bought it.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. But for as many times as there are of those, there's times where you have to reprice things downwards. And you need to have baked that into your margins. You need to have prepared well enough. You need to be capitalized enough. You need to have an emergency fund. You need to have an approach for different markets. You need to be able to adapt.
The sales channel you talked
You need
about,
a new
right?
sales
Yeah.
channel, maybe, right? So and for some people, they've reacted in a way where they've pivoted their entire inventory over to one piece. And okay, maybe that's what they want. I don't want to do that, but
Right.
maybe that's what they feel like they need to do to survive for their business. And I wish them luck. But you need to be able to make decisions to survive in any market environment.
Nice. No, that's, this is actually, you're like one of the first guests on here that kind of broke it down to more of a scientific level, right? And I've always told this to people too, right? Like, I do equate Pokemon the way it has been, at least for the last 11 months,
Yep.
to very much like the stock market, right?
It has to be because it's a marketplace made up of people.
Yep.
Right. The values involved in the items are supported by human beings.
And completely perceived at that, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a dollar, less than dollar card, right? I always said that Pokemon cards in this go around is very much what the NFT was supposed to be, right? Like a commodity that is tradable,
Yeah.
that is an art,
Yeah.
right? But it's just a physical art that you're passing around with that monetary value.
I like that comparison. At the end of the day, like that's the same thing you could say about the dollar bill, right? We're talking about something that we've agreed has shared value,
Yeah.
and it has some sort of certification on it. It has some sort of transferability, and you can't just create them yourself and forge them. Like that's all it really is. And we've decided that they have value because we have a shared past of having that hobby in common with each other.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with collectible coins and other cards and sports jerseys and art and instruments and sneakers. It's all the same.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you touch on One Piece a little bit. Let's get into it,
Yeah.
right? Obviously, you're not a One Piece person,
Right.
It's interesting because I got called a little, out again as usual. Internet loves calling people out, right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, he's not into One Piece. He just got into this because of the profit.
Sure.
I was ripping One Piece Japanese when Pokemon was like completely unobtainable. I just want to rip something fun and not look at the value of the card, right? So I was opening a little bit, but obviously now Pokemon, let's just say they're down 20% immediately overnight. One Piece goes 20% up, and now it's like parabolic, right? So the money got to move, right? And we see how the money is moving. Curious to see your take on it, right? Obviously, we talked a little bit off camera. Maybe just, give your insight. Like, what's your entire perspective right now on this?
I'm comfortable with the idea of One Piece being an intellectual property that has a card game that has staying power, as far as like it being valuable and having a marketplace of people who want it for many years to come. I'm comfortable with that idea. It's rare. A lot of IPs have failed to do that.
Yeah.
And so I would say it's more common that it fails than that it succeeds, which is why I think Pokemon and Magic are particularly unique compared to all other card games. So I would just say if we're talking about odds, right?
Yeah.
Betting odds, I would be careful. If you're betting the house on One Piece,
Don't do that, guys.
yeah, I would be careful. But I'm comfortable with it, becoming a third or a fourth pillar in the trading card game community. Like I think that the anime has a loyal fan base. It has tons and tons and tons of content, obviously. And besides that, I would say that I personally, and I can only speak from personal experience.
Sure, of course.
I can only speak from personal experience, and my personal experience is that I don't have any connection to One Piece.
Yeah.
I didn't watch the anime. I don't watch the anime. Haven't read the manga or anything. And I never opened a pack or collected the cards. Just hasn't like drawn me in.
Sure.
And so I personally won't get involved with it. Not because I think it's too risky from a business standpoint, because some of the people involved are going to make money, and some of the people are not going to make money, just like anything else. But I don't have a personal attachment to it, and so I'm not going to get involved with it. But I will say that similar to what Pokemon did earlier this year, when things go up extremely fast, just be careful if you are the person who ends up paying the highest ever price that has ever been recorded for an item, right?
You don't want to do that.
Whether it's a graded card or a box or whatever it may be, like sometimes people do that and they still kill it, right? Because they buy it on its way up and it continues to go up. And it's like, wow, like I want to be a part of that growth. It sounds so exciting. But just as many people there are who do that are the people who buy it at the top.
Yeah.
And then it goes down. And then you have to face the stark reality of, did I buy this for money and for speculation or because I like it? And how much do you like it? Do you like it $5,000 worth?
Yeah.
Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that's only a question you can answer for yourself. And the only way you can answer it truthfully is if you compare it with your financial situation and your overall confidence in the long-term value of these items. Like, it's very speculative and risky.
Yeah. No, I love that. And again, go back to something that I said earlier, right? Just reflecting on my own collection now and really trying to say, okay, which pieces of my collection is actually something I love and I want to stash away. And I actually, interestingly enough, because since we started collecting, me and my family have a lot of graded cards that we graded ourselves.
Cool.
And we stash away. And some of them aren't even like worth a ton of money. They're like sub $100, $200 cards. And I'm like, man, we stashed this away because when we got it and we graded it and it means something to us and we put it away. It has literally no monetary value because I don't think I want to sell it, right?
Love it.
So I think, yeah, guys, be careful. I think I like One Piece, and I'm very transparent with my audience, right? I never finished the anime. I know the characters. I never read the manga, but I enjoyed opening the pack. And again, my first love into Pokemon, as well as any other trading game, is the art. Yeah. Like, I've always drawn to the art, and I was like, man, these are beautiful art. So that's how I got into it. And it is interesting now because my inventory as a vendor, right? Just like you said, you had to adapt. I found myself making more One Piece transaction because it's just what the market moves and what the market demands. Sure. I do have some of my more high-end slabs that I am keeping for Pokemon. Yeah. But other than that, all the excess, right, is kind of out the window. Is going to, better homes, going to other vendors, et cetera, right? I'm finding my channels to kind of move them. And it's just interesting. And recently I started like just truly collecting a binder collection, and I have like random stuff in there. Nice. I opened Gundam. I love Gundam. Like, some of my first passion. So I opened some Japanese like Shinchan. You guys probably don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just find myself collecting a whole bunch of stuff, and I think that's the point for me when I look at this market right now about One Piece. Yeah, is I'm actually very, very excited because traditionally, right, is Magic, Pokemon, and Yu-Gi-Oh, right, back in the days. Yeah. Yu-Gi-Oh kind of died down, right? And now, today, when I look at the TCG market as a whole, you have Pokemon leading, right, overtaking Magic to an extent.
From maybe like a graded and speculative.
Yeah, like a pop culture perspective, right? I know there's a player base in Magic, and they always gonna exist. Huge, perfectly fine, right? Yeah. But now you have options. You have One Piece. You have Riftbound. You have all these other products that are thriving because of Pokemon, right? So I think it's really exciting for me to see that. And that if I want to maneuver out of One Piece into something else, there's liquidity enough now in the market as a whole for me to kind of navigate. And I thought that's really, really exciting times, right?
Sure. Yeah. If it's something you're passionate about and yeah, if the success of the franchise can give you that flexibility, then yeah, all power to you. For me though, like, I just keep coming back to like what of these items are meaningful to me, and I totally understand that. I was like, oh well, these items sell really well, and I'm in the business of reselling, but like, for me, it's I still feel like the ocean of Pokemon is still big enough to swim in.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially like the low population stuff. Sure. Man, now I almost find myself trying to challenge myself to see if I can use this time to obtain some of the even more high end stuff that I would never have access to previously. Sure. Right. So guys, like, think about a lot of people think maybe this is a correction, right? But also think about the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Every scenario, there's an opportunity. So take advantage of that, right? So
Yeah, and people 3 months ago were saying, wow, I would buy so much of XYZ if it would just be more affordable. And it's like, well,
Evil Sky
now
boxes.
it is more affordable.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Yep.
So, yeah,
Put your money where your mouth is.
that's right.
So yeah. Next topic, obviously the big one, big news. PSA acquired Beckett. Love your take on it. Again, open questions
Yeah.
because I think the news is so fresh. Everyone has an opinion.
Sure.
Want to see what yours is.
Mine's not going to be clickbaity, unfortunately. So for clarification, the Collectors Universe is a company that owns PSA that now has also acquired Beckett. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be, like process crossover between these two companies. A comparison that I can make is that there's a company, I believe it's called Takedown, and they own both a professional wrestling, I think it's WWE.
Yep.
And they also own
TKO.
TKO.
That's right.
So, and they also own the UFC.
Yep.
And that has not changed the rule set or legitimacy or approach of the UFC to now be owned by the same company that's putting on, professional wrestling, which is just mostly choreographed dancing.
Correct.
And
Man drama.
yeah, they're just two totally different things that are owned by the same parent company. And so it doesn't necessarily mean that, PSA and Beckett are going to merge or that they're going to whatever. It might mean that they share some, tricks of the trade to help each other increase their
Velocity.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's things that PSA is doing from a logistics standpoint that like Beckett could really learn from. Maybe there's pricing techniques that they can learn from. There's definitely going to be conversations.
Great.
But people can, thinking that this is just going to be PSA gobbling up another company and turning into a monopoly. Maybe that happens. I'm not overly concerned about it because I don't think that it's going to necessarily change the nature of the hobby as far as the way that I interact with it very much. Is it going to potentially change the way the hobby works for people who are exclusively going after black label Beckett slabs? Maybe. That might be something that changes, that was a certain way 2 years ago and won't be there 2 years from now. But there's always changes. There's always things that happen in the industry, and it's going to impact some people and not impact others. This is a situation that I don't see the specific path to it really impacting me or many of the people who interact with the hobby the same way as I do.
Nice.
So last thing I'll say on it is it's the flavor of the week, which means next week, 2 weeks from now, there's going to be some other drama that's going to be in the news, and people are going to make clips out of it. But for me, I'm just wait and see. Let's wait and see what actually happens.
Yeah, no, I actually haven't really formed my opinion on it either. It's business as usual, right? I think what I could say is, interestingly enough, the day that news dropped, I got my first BGS Black Label back. Yeah.
What card
and I
is
was like,
it?
yes.
What card is it?
It was actually a One Piece card. It was a Luffy Gear 5 wanted poster.
Wow.
Pretty cool card, right? Not just like a card that nobody wanted, but it was
Right.
like pretty popular card. And I hit the Black Label. So I was pretty stoked because I was like, man, like, again, something that I didn't think I was able to obtain.
Yeah.
And I did it in 11 months.
What do you think that's worth?
Last sold on eBay, Prostein was like 5,500.
Wow.
But I personally think maybe I'm biased, right? I value it higher.
Sure. Well, the market's going up for One
Right,
Piece.
exactly. And there's only Pop 32. I'm number 32, right? So I'm like, if it never leaves my closet, so be it, right? I'm way in the green on that.
Yeah.
And again, I'm looking for the right person to give it to versus just the next person to give it to.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that
Congrats.
was, thank you. So many more to come, hopefully, but we'll see the logistics now, right? But yeah, I think for me, at the end of the day, you make a very good analogy with TKO because I'm a lifelong pro wrestling fan, and of course I'm a UFC fan, right? So I do understand that logistics setup. So that's very interesting. But yeah, cool, man. Last thing. Here, we usually do a showcase, but of course, we're both super chaos today with setup, so we didn't really bring much, and I wouldn't feel comfortable having him bring like a high value item just walking around LA here. So we probably just do some quick rapid fire. That was something I wanted to incorporate into the show, so you get to be my beta tester here a little bit.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe hopefully I can get it all in one tick. Let's start with maybe like 5 or 10 names I'm gonna drop, right?
Okay.
Just things, and you give me your first reaction. We're just gonna go, okay?
Okay.
You ready?
Okay.
All right, Pokemon.
Pikachu.
All right. Let's see. We got TCG.
Collectors.
Okay. Family.
Protect.
All right. Road traveling.
Road traveling?
Yeah, I know you love that one.
How about I need a few weeks of rest?
Lovely. Big shows like Collecticon, front row.
Opportunity.
All right. Favorite state.
Wow.
Putting it on blast now.
Dang, this is really tough. So I grew up in California, but I don't feel the same way about it as I used to.
Huh.
I lived in Texas, enjoyed living in Texas. Probably the state that I've lived in that we enjoyed the most was Tennessee.
Ooh,
Yeah,
Tennessee.
I wouldn't mind going back east.
Okay. I like that. Like that. Okay. Streaming.
Logistics.
Nice. Being a content creator.
Grateful.
Grateful. Nice. Okay. That was good. We'll pause there. I'm still refining this, Trey. So I'm glad you get to try that out. Last thing I just want to say before I give you the mic to tell everybody your social media and stuff is one thing that from my interaction with you and just from watching your content video to now get to interview you, I just feel super blessed as well. And I always feel and think that you are, whether you realize it or not, you are definitely a leader in the hobby. And I think of you more like an anchor, right?
Sure.
A lot of things that you said is very intelligent and, logistical in terms of how you approach the hobby. So again, just really thankful for having you as a guest and I get to kind of interview. It's kind of cool,
Thank you, man. I appreciate you saying that. It's very gracious. I feel the same way about a lot of people, in the hobby, because like at the end of the day, anything that I've done has been done bigger and better by other people who have come before me, and so there's so much to learn from those who are there originally, and then those people have inspirations, and so we're all just trying to kind of pursue, whether it's business or hobby or family or whatever, something that's going to be meaningful to us. But yeah, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be involved in the community because like it's welcomed me in a lot of ways, similar to you inviting me on the podcast. So thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. Well, Jarchomp, please tell everybody your social media, how they can find you and all of that.
Yeah, so we have a YouTube channel called Jarchomp Collectibles. You can find us there. We try to post at least every week, and it is edited almost 100% by my wife, Franny. So shout out, Fran. And then we're on Instagram as well. And then as of right now, we are streaming on Drip. So come check us out there. We're there pretty much every Tuesday, selling lots of cool singles, slabs, and then we've got packs obviously to open. So come hang out with us there. And other than that, yeah, find us all over the country next year. I think we're going to be traveling like over 35 weekends.
Brutal.
Next year.
That should have been your answer. Brutal.
Yeah, brutal. So, yeah, we're going to be traveling quite a bit. So come see us. Obviously, on our Instagram, we'll tell people where we're going to be at.
Yes.
And we'd love to meet you in person. We'd love to sell you a couple cards. We'd love to buy your cards. And if not, we'd love to just shake your hand and meet you in person.
All right. Fantastic. All right, guys. And my name is Alan Lee, a.k.a. Pokemon Hero. And this is the TCG Table podcast. Thank you for being with us once again. And we'll see you on the next episode. All right. Peace.
Thanks. Appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Hi guys, this is Alan with Pokemon Hero, and I am the host of the TCG Table podcast. So this is the moment you all been waiting for. We have the Stained Glass Birds giveaway. All right, this is going to be the PSA 10 Stained Glass Birds, and we're going to be giving it away to one of you guys, lucky winner. This is how you're going to do it, okay? We are on the push to get our first 1,000 subscriber on the YouTube channel. So all you really have to do is subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notification, and then also like one of our videos, okay? So if you do all that, we are gonna enter you into the drawing automatically. And we are gonna be doing the drawing when we hit our first 1,000 subscriber. So stay tuned for that. And we wanna give a big shout out to 9 Coins Collectible for sponsoring this giveaway. So good luck to you all, and we will see you guys soon, okay? Peace!